Okay, so part two. This is the second video. As I said, I'm basically going to be talking you through the steps that I took. Um, this one will probably be based in middle school, high school. Uh, Final decision on why medicine was what I wanted to do instead of pursuing anything else. I was fortunate enough to be pretty decent at baseball and athletics. Thanks to my father being over 6 feet tall, I was ended up being over 6 feet tall, so it was kind of a natural thing to pursue athletics, especially in high school um, and middle school and whatnot. So um, I ended up getting really good at baseball. I ended up getting a full ride to a few schools and ended up turning them down because rent costs a lot of money. Everything costs a lot of money, and it didn't make sense for me to spend $1,000 a month on rent and food when I could stay with my dad and stay in the state of Florida, where I came from. Um, and just go to a state college, you go to community college, then state college, university later on. It didn't make much sense to do that when it cost me $800 to $1,000 for an entire semester because of in-state scholarships through academics. But that's another video. This video, middle school, high school. Middle school, I realized I wanted to when my mother um, had some health concerns and ended up being in the ICU and incoherent as well as comatose almost. Um, Obviously, this is hindsight bias and stuff like that, so it's like it's whether or not it's an accurate representation, questionable. But that's beside the point. So, seeing my mother like that, seeing the way the doctors handled it, the nurses handled it, seeing how the techs came in, they had to do their things while I was in middle school. It was a very scary experience. The scariest experience, probably, of that time, as I had been to funerals, but I didn't really recognize what death was. But my mother truly looked like she was about to die. And realizing that, I realized that that was something that I wanted to be able to have that, not control, not um, but the desire, I guess, is the best word. Desire to be there for the patient and their families in those dire moments. And what led me more towards wanting to do surgery and procedure based things instead of being an internist um, to begin with. There's another story that I'll talk to you about of why internal medicine is still another very interesting topic for me. Um, but I wanted to do that because I thought if you can perform surgery, you can probably do anything that you could possibly want to. It's very hard. It's very grueling. It's you put in your time. The surgeons know what they're doing because they've had to put in a lot of time. It's the 80-hour work weeks that you hear about that's stipulated by law. Whether or not that's actually followed is questionable um, because it's how it is. If you talk to any of the older surgeons, you talk to anybody who's in their 50s, 60s, 70s that are surgeons, they had no work hours that was stopping them. They could easily clear 120 hours. They could easily clear 140 hours. Some of them worked 72 hours in the hospital. They didn't go home for 3 days straight because that's what it took to be where they wanted to be. So that's a big portion of why I want to become a surgeon, or at least some aspect of it. I had no idea what it took, and now as I'm getting older and going through this, it takes a lot. Um, but middle school, that was kind of the end all be all of why I wanted to go into medicine. Then there was the aspect of the surgery, and then the decision. So the decision happened in high school. I knew I wanted to go to college, so I performed well academically. I also participated in sports, so I didn't perform the best academically because I kind of split my attention because it was still a deciding factor on whether or not I wanted to pursue professional athletics, medicine, or if I wanted to do video game design. That was another one. So going throughout high school, I was fortunate enough to be given in Nebraska. It was there's varsity, JV, reserve, and then freshman. So I was given a spot up. So I was given a spot that a sophomore would usually have as a freshman for baseball, freshman year, and then sophomore year I played JV, and I would have dressed for varsity, but there were three seniors that was first baseman. So there's that. Uh, and so pretty much what happened with that was that I would go to school, I would do my academics, all that stuff, and then I would have practice. I would also work out because we had open gym or open lift. Basically, the workout room was open until 5 o'clock. So there would be times where I would go and I would work out immediately after school got out, and then practice for football would start at pretty much right after class. Sometimes baseball practice was around 5-ish or a little bit later. So I would go hit a lift and then I would go to practice. That's just kind of how it fell. And so it really helped me to reach the physicality that I need to reach. Uh, Sadly, I did get a concussion freshman year from football. And then I was like, maybe I shouldn't play football. And then sophomore year came and I played football again because I was kind of roped into it. One of the JV head coach and the varsity lineman coach asked me if I wanted to continue playing football. And he offered to bring me to South Dakota for a camp. I went to the camp, did well, really enjoyed it. JV team then went on to beat every single team except for Pius, which you know what Pius is if you're from Nebraska. Then uh, they're I don't think they're in a technically the same city league because technically they're like a private school, but maybe they are. No idea. It's in the past too, so it doesn't really matter too much. But um, pretty much that's the only team I lost to, I think. Varsity didn't do too hot that year, and I dressed for varsity, um, and I got a little bit of play time, but not much. Then I moved to Florida, and when I moved to Florida, it was a rude awakening to the difference in politics of how baseball works, and how sports work down there. So baseball in Florida, they treat it kind of like college in a way where they only have a set roster, they only have varsity, and they only have JV. Freshman, sophomore play JV, junior, seniors play varsity, and there's not enough spots for everybody who tries out. More than likely, you will be cut. I was cut. I was cut junior year, even though I was talking to major D1 programs, and it was a really rude awakening to the reality of it. And I was told by the head coach that he strongly believed that I could make it on any team except for theirs because they already had their roster made pre me moving to Florida. So even though I played summer ball in Florida, went there, played fall ball. Fall ball I didn't do too hot because I was also getting used to the team and all that stuff. But got cut spring, did summer ball again, came back for senior year, which was 2020, made the team, but then I got season got cut short, COVID. So luckily, summer ball didn't get cut short, and that's where I received the majority of my scholarships because I was also not really on coach's radar once I moved to Florida because I lost my email address. I was contacting them, and I was just being lazy. And but then it also came down to the fact of the matter that once summer league was done, I kind of had made make the decision if I was going to take that offer or not. It's it didn't make sense financially, like I said in the first video, for me to take. I had a 75% in-state scholarship due to SATs and grades and volunteering and whatnot, called Bright Futures, and I missed the cutoff for the 100% coverage by 70 points. But COVID, I didn't want to take the SAT again and all that. And I'm like, it's 75%. What? Like, I'm gonna pay a little bit in college, but I can work and pay it that way, and that's what I did. But so it didn't make sense for me to take the full ride, even though I'm very thankful for the coaches who looked out for me and gave me the opportunity for that scholarships, for the multiple scholarships that I received and offers that I received. But I could focus. It was the decision points of choosing between if I pursued athletics, I could not pursue it to the degree that I needed to go professional, or I pursued both medicine and baseball, as those were the two career paths I was taking. If I were to focus on both of them, I would get burnt out of one or both. Is the way that I thought myself because I knew medicine was going to be very competitive, professional sports incredibly competitive, just as competitive as medicine, if not worse. So mixed the two, and finally came to the decision that the offers weren't worthwhile financially wise, or the risk of not doing well or having a. I believe the education would have been well enough for me to get to where I need to be, but it was still a conundrum. Um, and at the end of the day, well, here I am. I'm in med school. I decided not to take the baseball, and yeah, high school I performed well academically. I mean, there's not much to talk about there. It was a while ago too, probably about, it was 5 years ago since I graduated. So take that into consideration. My entire senior year, also, I had done college courses, not APs, but actual like college courses at the state college. So that allowed me to graduate college in 3 years instead of four. Um, because I focused directly on my path. I didn't really take like a whole bunch of extra electives, not really knowing what I wanted to do type situation like some people do. And I stayed at the same major the entire time because I knew I wanted to do medicine. I knew I wanted to be a physician. I knew I wanted to be a doctor to some capacity. Um, but yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So this ends the second video. Say thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon.